So you want to build a Minecraft modern house? Well, this is the place to be. Today we're going to start building and going over the process behind building a modern house in Minecraft, vanilla textures and all. In this video, we're going to go over a brief list of things you can look for, how to look for a good landscape, and overall the building process. This isn't a block for block tutorial, more of teaching you how to look at a landscape and build a house that fits your needs. So let's get right into it. The first thing you want to consider is a good location. You want something that works for you and something that you can work with and mold easily. Personally, I like the plains biome, which is why I'll be working with this hillside right here. Next, you want to begin clearing the area and starting to think about your materials palette. Now, contrary to popular belief or the reels you see on Instagram, the last thing you want to do is dig a giant hole for a basement in the ground. When you're looking to build a creative house, or when you're looking to build a modern house in creative, you want to be able to use the landscape and let it sit on top of that landscape. Next, you want to find a starting point. And for this, I'm going to be using white concrete, stone, glass panes, and dark oak planks. As I'm looking at this, I'm kind of trying to think through what shape do I want to do. I usually like to start with a corner piece because that is the easiest to do. Now that you have a modular piece, you can start to see where we want to head with this object. I've started with a little corner room because I would like to have an open view of the hill and the surrounding areas on this side. When it comes to what I'm going to add next, I want to add some variation and possibly a divider for this small little bedroom. Now that I have this section done, it's time to start considering what I want this side to look like. I don't want this house to be deep, but I want it to be long across this hill. So what I'm looking for right here is to figure out what the next shape is going to be. It can get hard sometimes when you're working with shapes like this, but when I want something that's not deep and something that's almost modular, I tend to look at it like this. I think that because this shape is disconnected, I'm going to box in this shape. So I will do that, and then I will add the floor, and then we'll have a 3 wide hallway right here. Okay, and then once I do that, I will have, well, okay, now this is the other part. most of the time your thoughts aren't always going to look good, which is okay. Because now I just realized that I have to go ahead and do this. Bring it back because the flush with the concrete or the stone didn't look that good. So essentially now what I will do is the same thing right here. You know, modernism in architecture is mainly about how abstract you can be, but you also have to make it function. And that's my goal with these tutorials. So this one, I'm not seeing much wiggle room right here unless I wanted to dig into the mountain, which is a possibility, but something you often don't consider. So I think on the opposite side, I will add sort of a garage, which I'll go ahead and plan that out right now. Now you can see the shape that I'm going for here is something interesting. I'm going to go ahead and grab a glass block, and you can change the color and tone of whatever you feel like. Do whichever you want. All blocks are interchangeable for materials. I'm just laying out the blueprint. But I'm going to go ahead and do a massive skylight right here. And it's going to end at the end of this concrete, well, quote unquote, concrete divider right here. I want it to be sectioned off, but also free flowing. So here you see there's this massive open hallway. Lighting is going to be a tricky one, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But now you can see I have this new shape that's a rectangle on top of this square. Across the hall, I'm going to start the garage. May have to do some terraforming, but that's okay. Or I can trim this out, build a retaining wall, and then also call that a day. But I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll just time lapse it. So now that I've gone ahead and done the garage, you can see that I'm doing a lot of things against this hill. Don't worry about this. There will be a wall here, but that's the next step. We have this section over here. We have a decently shaped corner of the house, but how do we build out this section right here where you'll see most of you'll see most of the house? So first, I'm just going to go ahead and even this out to be 3. In terms of building modern houses, 3 is your best friend, but it's not required. In that, it's a very good element to have in a modern build because it gives you space to work for, or to work with certain things like fixing shapes and adding them. So now that I have this area, the section with the driveway, will be a little tricky because we're already kind of pinched for space, and I don't want to go too far that way, and I can't be too busy this way. So in this case, what I think I'm going to do is drop the living room out of here. So I will have 3 blocks like this, a staircase down, 3 blocks like this, and then however many blocks I want to build out. A good rule of thumb to make it look realistic is adding stuff like this. In terms of depth, you don't want to go too crazy, but you want enough depth in the shape to... Wow, that doesn't make sense. Okay. You want to be able to... When you're looking at something like this, you want to contrast from this, but also keep the same elements. I've never had to explain the builds, and I'll get better with them. But you want something that you can work with, that's livable. All right, so it goes out 5 from here. Just perfect. Yeah, 5 from here, which is perfect. And then I'm going to wrap this around like that. And then I'm going to add another element of support that will go over here. But for right now, I'm going to add this. Now, I don't typically count what I want, in a build. It's hard to go in depth right here because you have this. So I think in this section, I'm going to have another 3 wide section where it'll allow for a large entryway. Yeah, there you go. And so you have an entryway right there, and you can also make this survival friendly, but since it's creative, I decided to go with the modern look. Now I'm actually going to... No, I'm going to leave it like this. No, that was concrete. I'm going to leave it like that. And then I'm going to go up 2 right here to keep consistent with the roof line. Now, instead of raising it up, I'm going to keep this line consistent with this line, even though I'll need to come out here more in terms of the shape of the house. Now, in Minecraft, there's a delicate balance of glass to building space. So I want this to be sort of a living room that feeds into a kitchen area over here, and possibly a bedroom. This is going to be a 1-story house, mind you. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish this out, and then I'll be back with the next steps. now that you have this section done, you're going to want to mirror this side on the other side of the chimney. In terms of keeping symmetry, I'm going to add another one of these on this side, and then I will have the kitchen come out around here and maybe an extra bedroom. In terms of this, I'm going to fill it in, and we'll deal with the terraforming later. But for the house right now, I'm going to finish this up and then I'll be back at the next section. So I just realized that I got carried away and started building. But this is going to be the kitchen side of the house. It's on the same level as that one, but I'm adding a different element because everything on that side is floating, and I want a curve that goes up and follows this side. So basically what I'm going to do is build this out and then have it mirrored but different, if that makes sense. So on this side, it's not exactly symmetrical, but it's a similar size. And one of the things I always enjoy about modern architecture is that you can have both symmetrical and asymmetrical elements in one build. For here, it is unique with the landscape, but it's nothing that can't be fixed with a little grit. I'm more interested in things that look like things that look good in your eyes and are practical. So obviously people are going to think that this is, you know, some people may think it's bad, and you know what? That's okay. That's the whole point of being able to build. This is just to serve as a guide on how to start thinking, and if it's really wanted, I can do a block by block, but I've kind of tried to boil it down to kind of the thought process, and depending on how this goes, I may try a different format. You know, I'm still learning how to present these on YouTube, but you know, I've been interested in building in Minecraft for years now, so it'll be fun to have, you know, a platform to share my builds. And you know, I'm going to keep them in the same world, so this will kind of turn out to be like a high-end neighborhood almost. Yeah, so here you can see the shape that I'm going for, and again, pretty simple. I'm not going to drop it. I want it to stay on the same level as everything else. And I need to figure out what I want to do with this side. Not 100% sure, but you know, I'll figure something out. Now, in this case, it is okay to have, you know, some depth, because look at this line right here. It is completely flat. So what I'm actually going to do is raise this out, or bring this out by 1, but I'm not going to alter the interior of the house. I just want this to be a sort of support pillar that follows along but adds some depth into the build. In terms of what I'm going to do with this, I have a few options. I can add vertical windows like this, or I can add windows such as this. But I think I'm going to stick with the vertical windows. Mainly because it sticks with the theme. And I don't have to worry about having different elements. And I'm going to add something different. Actually, this is the perfect place to add another element, where I'm just going to add this. Yep. And then here, I'm going to improvise and do that to add some depth, add a change, you know, add another change to the front, bring back the wood element. And then I'm going to come over here and fill in the kitchen. Now, this is supposed to be, you know, survival friendly. So you can build this in survival, and I will furnish it to survival spec, if you will. And there is the completed structure of the house. As you can see, rather simple. There's a good element of symmetry without symmetry, as you can see by that side. It is realistic to build in survival, and each side is different while keeping the same theme. Now, I'm going to go in, add some details, and fix whatever's going on with this, because yikes. Yeah, so I'll be back once I do that. All right, so I've gone ahead and terraformed the ravine out of the way. So now we have a solid area to start working with. I might have to do a little more terraforming on this side, but it won't be that hard. All right, so there, I just shaved the hill back a little bit, and now we have some more room to work with. So we're not going to have anything crazy. If anything, I think I'm going to tie some stone bricks into this, and do some modern fence work. Let me find that. So I'm going to do 2 high and then sections of 3. This way I'll be able to create the driveway and the gate, but I'm going to actually hold off on that and do the driveway itself. Let's see. So in terms of the driveway, you want something that's a little different, but a similar color. I'm going to stick with this format for the time being. And you'll notice I'm going to taper this driveway out a little bit and curve towards this area where we'll have a road going. But for now, we're just focusing on the house itself. So once I go to here, I'm gonna slowly make the driveway curve outwards just to avoid this whole mess. There we go. Yeah. If I had planned better, I would have been able to, you know, make a better looking driveway. But again, my first creative build. I'm just excited to be building a house and sharing it. I know it's probably not the best, but I don't know, I'm having fun. And so I'm actually gonna take this opportunity, go ahead here. The issue with this is I'm gonna have to shave this down a little more. That shouldn't be a problem, considering how there used to be a ravine right here and you can't even tell. So yeah, I'm just gonna continue this. So as for the structure, this is pretty much complete. I know it's not the best, and there's a few missing details, like that needs a slab on it, but you get the idea of what I was going for here. You know, we started with a blank hillside and we used the land to work for us. Now we have a pretty good survival house. I'm gonna go ahead, do the interior, and then I'll do a showcase at the end. All right, so I've gone ahead and finished it up. So enjoy the final product. Before I go, if you liked it, like it. If you have feedback, leave a comment. Let me know what I could do better. And yeah, so enjoy.